Alrighty, so we are first off, babies are welcome. We're talking about sick kids because and blowouts because that's how we do this business, or a lot of us, anyways, with kids all around. And I personally love it. They're not this separate part of our lives. They are just as immersed in we, at least for myself, and I know a lot for Dana, we do this business so that we can have so much more to give to them, our time, our energy, our confidence. Yeah. So I have my little one here. I know Dana has maybe one somewhere around the house. And then I have two more running around who might barge in at any moment. So we are going to go ahead and get started. We're going to do a little coach lunch and learn. I know you might be watching this back on the recording if you are working right now, but just so thankful to have you guys all here. As you can tell, we're a little bit tanned up because we just got back from our Success Club trip to Punta Cana, and looking at these pictures, I'm like, okay, this was not like 2 days ago. Take me back. This was actually my fifth earned trip that I could go on, but it was actually my first trip. So just I finally got to experience it for the first time. I know Dana did too, and we were just blown away. So what this trip essentially is it is a trip that is gifted to us from the company for helping people get started on their health and fitness journey every single month. Over and over. And it's not just helping one person each month. It's not just helping the same person each month. It's helping new people get started, start their nutrition, start on a superfood shake, start in their workouts, and just hold their hands along the journey. So all because we are striving ourselves to live a healthy and fulfilling life and then get to help others. We got to go on this trip, and we got to work out together with our super trainers. We got lots of time on the beach and pool. Our husbands, I think this is one of my favorite parts, and I know a lot of the girls would agree. Our husbands were a lot of our plus ones, and it was just so fun seeing them interact and get along. And yeah, I cannot wait. Mexico is already planned for next year in 2023, and we want to just share with you how you can be there. And I know for myself, this was a big incentive when I saw my coach and her friends go on this trip, and I was like, well, I could do that. Like, what they're doing isn't rocket scientists, and I'll take a free trip for myself and my hubby on a teacher's salary. That was very, very hard to do. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to just kind of share our stories and then dive in to all about coaching. So I think mine is first. So my name is Brooke Anderson, and oh, goodness, I would say for myself and for almost 99% of the women who are on my team, we come into coaching in kind of our darkest hour on our most desperate time of need. So I just want to put that out there. A lot of us don't get into this with, chiseled abs, with lots of like any, truth be told, any like idea of nutrition or workouts or anything like that. So if you are fearful that you are starting at square one, and so how could you help others? That's almost how all of us start. So I personally I was a wife at the time, and I just had my first baby. The past 10 years of my life, through college, through early years of marriage, I had spent what I call on the yo-yo diet train, where I was just constantly trying to lose 10 pounds. Like for 10 years. And I think back on it, I'm like, that's a long time, where it was, I would lose 10 pounds, usually by running my butt off and not eating a lot of food. So you lose 10 pounds pretty fast. And then I would gain it all back on a weekend or a couple months of a stressful move or getting married or starting my first job. And that was just not a sustainable way to live. My confidence was so low. My clothes were always just so tight, but I never wanted to get new clothes because eventually I knew I could fit into them. And then when I became a mom, I just knew that this road I was on was only going to get about 100 times harder if I didn't stop and figure out myself first. I especially had a daughter when I first, as my first child, and just thinking of her going through what I was going through shattered me. So I was watching my coach Megan. She was also a mom, and she wasn't perfect. She still had slip ups. She still ate chocolate. She still drank her champagne, but she had a confidence and she had an energy, and she brought health and fitness such a light into my life in a way I had never seen it before. So I reached out to her. We got started. I didn't ask a lot of questions. I said, hey, that coaching thing I've seen you talk about, why don't you just sign me up for it too? And this picture with my 2 young kids is really how I got started, just on the living room floor in my basement. I'm gonna put her down. As a struggling mom, and pretty instantly, I fell in love with everything. I saw that the workouts, they worked. I saw that the supplements that I rolled my eyes at for the longest time actually really, really helped, especially as a mom of 2 under 2 and then soon to be 3 under 3. And then I just saw my confidence go from about 0 to 100. And that's what that second picture is, that the second picture of the before and after. That before was me in my prime as a newlywed who was living in, at the time we were living in Colorado. We had no responsibilities with kids and all of that stuff. And I was just so unhappy to fast forward a few years later as a mom of 3, and just, I mean, you can see in the picture, just radiating so much joy and confidence, because your health and fitness trickles into every single part of your life. So that's a little bit how I got started.
Thank you for sharing that. So you might see that some of my part of my story is similar to Brooke's, but then some of it is also a little bit different. So I started coaching 4 years ago. I have done Beachbody off and on multiple times for multiple years. And that's really kind of part of my story also, is that same idea of that yo-yo that she talked a little bit about. I had done things like I ran a half marathon. I had joined like intense fitness gyms just to do the 13 weeks, not be satisfied with my results and walk away. I was a regular YMCA goer at one time. I had large seasons of doing nothing. I had tried all the free apps. Guys, I feel like I had tried all the things, but only super temporarily. And when I look back on that and I reflect, I always feel like I was doing one of maybe 3 or 4 pieces that I believe play a huge part into my success, not just as a coach, but as somebody that has really built a lifestyle around health and fitness. It was either I was doing the workouts, I was really never doing the nutrition. That was basically it. I was just trying to find this like magic workout that would make me feel my best. Unlike Brooke, I kind of wish I had dove in a little more. I did not really dive all the way into my health and fitness till after I had had all 4 of my kids. And like she said, that darkest place, looking back, I think I was in a darker season than I even knew at the time that I was in. I called it my mom life crisis. I wanted to dye my hair, get all these piercings, get tattoos. I mean, I still want some of those things, but at the time it was just this craving for something that was for me. I didn't know what it was or what I was looking for, but I knew it had to be something for me. And when I decided to go not all in with my fitness with Beachbody at that time, it really kind of felt like the back against the wall. Well, like it's convenient, it's affordable. We were also a 1 income teaching family, but the opposite. My husband was the one teaching at the time. And it checked a lot of the boxes. And so I decided to do kind of 4 things that I think really gave me the success with getting started. I chose a program and I leaned in for the first time ever. So this was in 2018. I had June of 2017. It was 80-day obsession. I went all in on a nutrition program. I would say I was somewhere between 80-20, 90-10 with following portion containers. I still drank beer. I still had pizza on a Friday night. Like I was not perfect. I don't want anybody to think that. I drank that superfood shake that I also rolled my eyes off at. Was a half scooper. I really did not think my body needed that, but I was seeing it work for others. So I decided to really trust the process. And I leaned into the community in the gym that Brooke was running at the time, because she was my coach, in case anybody didn't understand that part. So she was my coach, and lo and behold, within about 30 days, you guys, I felt absolutely incredible. The best I had felt probably in my entire life. And to think that I was 30, I don't even know how old I was, because I don't even know how old I am now. I was 31, I don't know, maybe 30. To think that that's how long it took me to find that was just incredible. So Brooke had kind of asked me to coach multiple times, just things like this. And I had said no. I had previously done some other things. I just didn't think I wanted another thing in my life. But I crunched the numbers and I said, I will coach with you for the discount strictly because I'm loving the shake. I had a few friends that, not because necessarily I was posting on social media, but just some friends of mine that were like, what are you doing? I want to do it too, similar stages of life. So I was like, well, if a couple of them buy Shakeology and I'm drinking Shakeology, I can at least like get half of my shake paid for. Like that was literally my goal when I got started. But it just felt so good to feel good. And over time, I continued to kind of see that opportunity and what it could do and start taking the actions that align the things that I wanted out of this business. And I was going to share a little bit more about that, but I'm actually going to touch more on that in our slides later when we talk about a few other things. But yeah, just at the end of the day, it felt so good to feel good. And my last thing is when you jump into being a coach, it's not like about being perfect. And I think that I'm a little bit of a testament of that now. I've had my life kind of flipped upside down in the last 2 years. I'm living in my bedroom that I grew up in at my parents' house. And this is where I've been doing calls from for 2 years, which is just depressing to me, following our house fire. And my nutrition, I stayed consistent in some areas, but completely fell off the wagon in others. And just kind of all around. And I feel like I'm kind of at a new, like starting over. But I think that's part of the beauty of this coach is I never completely lost this healthy lifestyle. And there's always the opportunity to kind of have that all in moment again. I don't know. I think that's something that I love is that ebb and flow. It's not like you're a fitness instructor and you take 2 years off and you're like, oh crap, now I got to go find a new job. Like I've always been here and I've actually found a lot of success in sharing in this way really candidly. So that was kind of the last new part of my story I wanted to touch on when it came to like my health and fitness. You can go to the next slide. You go ahead and start us off here and then
I love what you just said because yeah, it's so true. Like this is not about perfection at all, but like that foundation of health is always there, but life still happens. And but we know what we need to do to get back to it. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. They just don't know when they just try all these things. But let's talk about the biggest fears that these are like the 3 biggest fears that we had combined. And then also just we hear a lot of ladies who come into this are telling us. So number 1, of course, is social media. And I don't share a lot, or maybe it's like, well, I do share, but I don't know what to share. And here's the thing, like for social media, I think so many people overcomplicate it because it's just sharing your journey and like just being super laser focused. I know social media is very oversaturated right now. It's super easy if you are following a ton of coaches or you're following a ton of bloggers or like this to get sucked into those things. But when it comes down to it is you just have to put your blinders on and you share you and you share your life, you share your journey, you share what's going on in your day to day. And the beautiful thing is that the people who are also going through all of those same things, God will bring into your life through that. And social media is just a way, of course, we do this word of mouth too and get our family and our friends and our neighbors and coworkers helped and started. But social media is a way that we can get hundreds, if not thousands more reached every single day by just simply sharing bits and pieces of our life. And I always like to say, like, especially sometimes when coaches get started, they just think they automatically have to share all about Beachbody. And that is not true at all. I would actually think like sharing about Beachbody is just a little bit of it all. It's more about sharing your journey. A lot of times moms the conversations get started because we start talking about, right now I have a breastfeeding baby, we start talking about postpartum, we talk about pregnancy, we talk about toddlers or whatever I'm going through and sharing, we talk about those things. And then I have my workouts maybe sprinkled in. I have my shake maybe sprinkled in. I always say it's kind of like that commercial when you're watching a TV show, my life is the main part, and then Beachbody is just the commercials here and there. Because social media, we're just connecting. People don't go to social media to buy things, they just go to connect. So when you're just your authentic self, when you have your blinders on and focus on your journey, social media becomes really, really simple. And I think very free. And I know both Dana and I have a similar story when we would just scroll. Like social media used to be a huge time suck for us. We would compare. People would just, it'd be like a time to like turn our brain off, but also like it would suck so much from our brain. And now because of coaching, I have used social media as such a different light. I use it for to serve others, and then I try and put timers on things. And when I'm done, I close it and I live presently with my kids and my husband, with our friends. And it's been just a lot of people are scared that social media will just overtake things when it's actually added so much more freedom to our life. Do you want to go with the opinions of others?
Sure. Yeah, I was thinking about these slides and we were kind of talking about what we were gonna talk about, and I echo literally everything you just said was kind of what some of the things I was thinking on in my head with that social media part. And then of course, this kind of goes with social media, this others' opinions, but it also just goes with like life in general. I would say that this was something, again, I was thinking about this in the car. This was probably one of the biggest things I've struggled with my entire life. And I would assume most people didn't know it. I'm actually kind of known for having extreme RBF. So maybe that was my way of coming across as like, I'm worried about what other people are thinking about me, or just like in deep thought. But anyway, this idea of what others were going to think about me, one, showing up on social media, and I had a lot of fear of just like in the community, what they would think about me, or even my friends and my family, like, oh, Beachbody, like the word Beachbody was something I didn't even want to say. And I have the ways that I overcame that were a couple things. One, just understanding that my worth, I did a lot of digging into both faith development, but also personal development, which is a huge part of our team and something that we encourage every coach to be doing some form of personal professional development. And I think that that was a huge game changer for me to really understand, okay, I'm not valued by what others think of me. And so at the end of the day, if I knew that my heart was in a good place, and like I had just shared with you guys, I had this really big life change. And sometimes that is, when you experience that, that is so hard to like portray from the inside out, if that makes sense. We shared these before and afters and things like that, but I'm always trying with my words to explain. And when you feel that, when you've committed to that program and you're allowed and you're able to feel that also, I think you'll find that those opinions of others will start to chip away because you know that what you're sharing is genuine. And then there was another thing I was going to touch on about that. But I lost my train of thought. Sorry. I don't know what I was going to say. It was good too. But yeah, I just wanted you guys to know that this was definitely a huge thing, and we're surrounding ourselves by so many other people. Gosh darn it. I'm sorry. Lost my train of thought. Do you want to touch on salesy?
Yeah, it happens to me all the time now that I'm a mom of four. I think it's like mom of four brain curse or something. But yeah, this was my biggest hesitation. I told Megan, my coach, right away, I'm like, well, I don't have a sales bone in my body. I like cringe at like if someone invites me to like a party where I know it's like going to be all about sales, I'm like, no. And her simple question to me was, well, Brooke, was I salesy to you? And just like, no, I loved seeing you show up every day. I looked forward to your posts. I looked forward. 5 years ago, there wasn't stories, but even today, I look forward to her stories and all my coaches' stories because there's so much light and love and positivity, and of course, health now, like all around health. And it's just such an uplifting thing. And so I think that's what you have to remember is that the people who are meant to do this with you, you're not going to be salesy to them. You're going to be someone who provides such a light into such a dark area of their life that they're struggling with. Um, so just remember, like, unless you are just sitting there yelling at them like numbers and all of that, if you are sharing yourself like talked about in social media in an authentic way, and sharing your journey personally, then you're not going to be salesy. You're just going to be a real woman on social media sharing her truth. So Dana, and feel free to interrupt me if you ever get that awesome thought back, because
well, yeah, I actually was thinking about that social media, and I was going to just share my story. Since I was so worried about people's opinions for the first few months, I would say, of coaching, or even almost a year, I was always on this defense. And I think if you come in, we have to be intentional of like, I am a light, and I am revamping my scroll in the way of social media, and I am using it to show others like what I've done, but then like shine that possibility into their lives with this opportunity, but also all my other pillars, like being a mom and my faith and all those other things. I mean, it sadly took me about a year to kind of change the way that I spoke and stop speaking like I was always on the defense. Because if you're always on the defense, then people are going to be kind of on the attack, if that makes sense. But when I started speaking way more freely, I remember it was January of probably 2019, I decided like I was done. Like, I love this. Like, I wasn't done sharing. Like, I'm not going to stop sharing. And I love this. And I'm going to share it authentically and not defending myself constantly, because I don't have a bad thing to say about what I'm doing. And so that was just kind of an encouragement. If you would decide to join us, and kind of the intention of when you start sharing of what that should look like a little bit.
All right. How to make money. So Dana, I'll let you kind of talk about your slides.
Yes. Okay. So this is where my story kind of continues from what I was telling you guys, my story when I started coaching. So in 2018, I was a brand new coach. And like I shared earlier, I wanted that discount on Shakeology. So that's basically what it says. That's what I was doing. I was bringing on a few friends and family, posting on social media sporadically. And it was serving that initial purpose. But from 2018 to 2019, I saw Brooke and other coaches on Megan's team specifically that I was following, and they were earning trips. And Brooke, I think, was probably that year going to Vegas for like a leadership thing. I don't know, all these things they were earning. And I was like, well, I want those too. I have a strong desire to be successful just in general in life and win and have all the nice things. And but my actions were not aligning that as this very strict hobby coach. So in 2009, that next year, I kind of started taking some consistent, but still a little bit sporadic action. My goals were maybe a little bit smaller, but I just knew if I helped 3 to 5 people a month, my first goal was kind of to earn that Success Club trip. We were a one income family, like I said, and trying to start up a farming business. And that's just like, money was and time just did not exist for our family. And so I was able to, within that year, to kind of earn those trips and things, but then also bring in that little bit of income for our family to alleviate a little bit of the pressure, like groceries, and dance for my girls. And then within that next year, I just stayed consistent, but I think I got a little bit more and more consistent. I would say from 2020 on to now, I have remained, we're going to talk a little bit later about the actions that we take, but just remained super consistent in those actions with my blinders on. And I was able to kind of build up to providing for our family a little more, those groceries, things like car payments and fund money. Again, it kind of went into that one income mindset of, I still remember the year I sent Aaron and Bronson to WWE wrestling match, which is like, that's why it's like so silly. Because it's like, do you really need to spend money on that? Like, no, absolutely not. But it was this like silly thing they bonded on that, in the past, I'm not saying we didn't do fun stuff like that, but it just carries a different sense of a burden. And if you've never been like a one income family like we were, then maybe it's not quite as understandable, but it just, things are tighter, and it's just harder to do things like that without feeling this sense of like, I don't want to say guilt, but just like this burden financially. And so we were able to do more of those things. And then from 2021 and then on to this year, just been able to consistently provide a steady growing income for our family. I was going to touch on, my story is not like I went from making nothing to thousands right away. And I have always felt like that, as frustrating as sometimes that can be, as such like a high achieving person. I want more. I want all the things. I want all the recognition. I want all the income. I do feel like that God has aligned my goals and my actions to be with this steady growth that I've been able to have over the last, when I started in 2018, I had 3 kids still home and 1 in kindergarten. Brooke has done that super successfully, but I don't feel like that was a season of life for me, that God was calling me to a full-time income business. And then over, if part of my story, we have, it's not really shown on here, but this last year, my husband was able to leave his teaching job and farm full-time through the combination of both our farm becoming super successful, which is kind of crazy. I always think of this, like, we both like have worked really diligently on this like entrepreneurship life, and together, he's been able to come home to farm. And then he just texted me, it says, "Hey, Dana, ?" Sorry, that was super weird. I am able to continue to stay home beyond babyhood stage and be with my kids, and also bring in an income. There's nothing like us both being able to live a life that's not on a time clock. I can't explain it, but it has been such a blessing, and God's timing has just been so divine for that with us. Snaps from Leah. So go ahead, Brookie, share yours.
So I'll just dive in really quick to, you can see my boys are screaming. Hopefully everyone's okay. But you can see a little bit of my income progression. I basically started with the long-term goal of like, I just want to replace my teaching income. But obviously I knew that wasn't going to happen overnight. So if it was just paying for my Shakeology, my supplements, maybe some extra diapers, that would be great. So that happened within the first year of the business. That was kind of always my first goal, is to just cover those basic things, because hold on, I'm about to have a screaming kid come in here. And then things, just by staying super consistent. Okay, I need you to, mommy will deal with it in just a couple minutes, okay? Okay, go, mommy will deal with it in just a couple minutes. By staying super consistent, I replaced my teaching income 2 years into coaching. And then just from there, things have just progressed. And like Dana said, we're both from Iowa. It's not like we know a bunch of people. It's just that with the things that we have been taught to do from our upline coaches, and just being super diligently with doing them every single month, the compound effect has been insane. So we have 2 ways to earn, and I'll go over them really briefly. We earn through commission. So anytime anyone purchases anything from us, whether it's Shakeology, whether it's our pre-workout called Energize, Recover, or Beach Bars, we get 25% commission, which is awesome. Like, commission, especially in the first couple of years of my business, was a big part of my income. But I will tell you, like, of January 2021, I'm not taking my family on a trip to Florida and maxing out our retirement funds and kids swim lessons on our house payment, all because I'm making commissions every week and selling hundreds of products, because I only actually help about 5 people every single month get started in their health and fitness journey. But the bigger piece of our income comes longer down the road, which is called the Team Cycle Bonus. And it's, as your team of coaches grow, you get a percentage of what they are doing, and as you are all working together. And let me make it clear too, it's not like I am taking, like, I get a pay cut of Dana's chunk and she's not getting that. It's nothing like that. It's just all the productivity that's going on our team. I get a percentage of that, and which just is super fun. As we all help each other become healthy and build businesses, we are all helping our income grow. So that's a little bit of just the 2 different ways you can earn. Of course, commissions is great, but the longer term income is the Team Cycle Bonus, which we would dive way more into if you decide to become a coach on our team. Okay, so we're gonna just go over our quick little vision for you for your first couple years as coaches, because this is a long-term business. This is not an employee mindset where it's like, hey, okay, I'm gonna work for a week and let me see that Beachbody paycheck, right? Like, That's not what this is at all. This is an entrepreneurial job where you have to think long term. You have to think 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 2 years from now, what you can expect if you do the things. So, our first year, your first year, we want to help you get in the best shape of your life ever. We want to help you get plugged into a program, get started, help you with nutrition, find ways to make your Shakeology, just help you feel your absolute best. Because when you do that, you're going to be able to, your business will expand because you will just have so much energy and momentum. We want to help you never have to pay for your products. I talked about that commission on that last slide. So if you are helping 3 people a month with a total solution pack, you're getting about $50 in commission. So $150 in commission when you're helping 3 people. You're not going to pay for your products. You're not going to pay for your coach business fee, of which is about $15.95 every month. And you're going to have a little bit left over for date night or diapers or whatever you need. And then the last thing your first year is we want to help you earn that Success Club trip that you just saw us go on. We are going to Mexico next year. And even if you get signed up today, you can still earn it by starting to help people right away in your journey. So Dana, I'll let you take your number 2.
All right. So then kind of going into that next year, and this is interesting. So a lot of these really fit, but my story especially, is kind of to start building up more of a team under you. So not necessarily just helping those 3 friends get started with a program, but maybe getting them started with that preferred customer or coach discount too. And by doing that, you're able to potentially earn our leadership retreat, which is hosted either with our uplines or by leaders on our team. In the past, you might have watched us go to Destin for this trip. And this year we actually plan to go to Scottsdale. So that will be super exciting. But I do want to say, even though this one does say year 2, that leadership retreat is super achievable if you would join us now, like soon, especially because Beachbody is about to have, we already have so much momentum right now with gut health. But then we also have 2 new programs that people are already really excited about with Joel and then Elise and Jericho. So I just want you to know that leadership retreat, just because we put this on the 2-year slide, could totally happen this year. Okay. And then the opportunity to hit 1 star, which would mean that you are a leader, but then you have a leader. You have another coach actually working with you and alongside of you. And that is a corporate event trip that is in Vegas, which we didn't have that one because I wasn't able to go because of COVID, but people that went this year, it just looked absolutely incredible. They learned a lot and they met a lot of people in the network. And then start bringing in, there is a picture of me from when I qualified, but I didn't actually get to go. Okay. Start bringing in that a little bit bigger chunk of income. And a lot of that's going to start coming from, you have those commissions and those people that renew, but also because you're going to start building that team under you and really tapping more into that team cycle bonus.
Okay. And then year 3, sorry, I was muted. And again, all of these could happen depending on the pace you set for yourself. But this is if it's like, hey, I'm a coach, I want to start working the business. What can I expect if I just stay consistent? But so year 3 is we expect to hit 2 stars. So that means that you have 2 working coaches under you. And let me tell you, it's so much fun when you have girls running alongside of you. I know that's something in my business I prayed for, that I would just have girls who I had to sprint to keep up with, because they were helping people and they wanted to run coach sneak peeks and they wanted to do challenges together. And life and the business gets really fun when that happens. So it's hitting 2 star. And a lot of times what happens is your income kind of doubles, because I always compare it to a Chick-fil-A. When Chick-fil-A does really good in a location, you get to open another Chick-fil-A close by. Well, is what happens when you hit 2 star. When you hit 2 star diamond and you have 2 really solid working coaches underneath you, you get to open up another business center and place it somewhere in your organization that just maximize the compensation plan. I mean, a lot of times people can leave their full-time jobs or go down to part-time or whatnot with that. And then we get a quarterly bonus as a 2 star coach of around, usually it's between $700 to even $1,000 every single quarter, which of course no one ever turns their nose to a quarterly bonus.
All right. So then year 4 is kind of hitting that 5 stars. So you have 5 leaders under you. This is where really more of that full-time income is going to start coming into play. So if you have a full-time job that you were maybe potentially wanting to leave. And I also, that's another thing is we always like to mention, like, that's not everybody's goal, and that's okay. I think it's really important when you get into this to establish what your goals are so that you can match your actions to that. By year 4, you're really leading a team of leaders, not necessarily depending on your upline coach for the things, but doing a lot more of those things independently, like Brooke talked about. And there's a lot of magic in that. I really leaned into leading my own team last year. And that was when we hit that 5-star and we're a first-time elite team because I had those leaders that I was sprinting to keep up with that wanted to do the things together. I'm doing this call with Brooke today. So there's always still the opportunity for collaboration and things like that. But there's something really special about leading your own leaders. And like she said, seeing your coaches earn success. Just when you start seeing those coaches that, I haven't had a personal coach hit this, but I can imagine, and I've had some coaches with some success, when they start setting those goals and those visions and really start believing in them and then taking the actions to reach them, sometimes you have to step back and think like, wow, like I was a part of that. I'm not like taking ownership for that, but like, we shared that with them. I remember the first time I went 2-star. Actually, I went 1-star first because I was so excited that my first coach hit diamond. It was like an hour later. I was like, crap, that means I'm 1-star and I should be 2-star. I was so happy for her success. I had completely forgot about how it had impacted me. And so that was an unexpected, really fun part of this business for me, actually, that has been so special.
All right, so we're going to talk about 3 keys to success, and then we're going to wrap it up. So the first, number 1, is consistent with the 4 vital behaviors. This is we call it the Success Club tracker. It might look like really busy and a lot. We do like power hours and action hours that go all through these activities. But basically you can see in the highlighted navy blue, there's 4 of them. It's 1, be proof the products work. So that's why we put the transformation photos. We are our number 1 job. If we are not, of course, life can happen. We can get off track a little bit, but if we are not pouring into ourselves and doing things on our own, we're not going to be able to help other people. No, we're not going to go outside without Mom. Okay, why don't you go? Yep, and when I'm done, you can go. Okay, so, and then number 2, we connect with others. We invite people to join us and we follow up. So this is a part where sometimes people are like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to, will I sound icky? But when you're sharing your journey authentically and you're getting the results like we've shown and that we pictured here, people are going to want to know what you're doing. And then it's not weird when you're sharing your results to say to someone, hey, I see you watching my stories. Have you ever thought about joining this next challenge group that I have going on? And then just following up with them. Maybe this month wasn't the good time. So maybe in a couple months, it might be better time. So that's the second one. Number 3, we help people get results. I've talked about the challenge groups that we run. They're basically just a monthly group or a yearly group. Kind of every coach does it differently, that we put people in and we just have daily challenges of, hey, let's check in with our workout. What did you eat for breakfast? What's your meal plan? And this is just where we really come in and hold each other's hands and do it together. And then Dana also touched on number 4, which is personal development. I know that's something I blew off for about the first year of coaching because I just didn't think, I thought I had it all together. I didn't think I had any issues with my confidence or limiting beliefs or fears. And wow, did I have a lot to work through when I finally realized that I was really stuck in my business and I didn't know what was going on. I dove into personal development and I realized I had so many limiting beliefs holding me back and things that I wasn't even aware of. And just having that some personal development, breathe that daily life into me that I can do this. Striving for success isn't selfish. It's growing, having that growth mindset. I think it's just whether you're doing it as a coach or whatever profession you're in, everybody needs something a little bit every single day. All right, number 2.
Okay, so I feel like we've kind of touched a lot on this, not finding your identity in what others think. Then there's this quote. I think one of the things we wanted to remind you guys on this side, and this has been a really big part for me, is kind of keeping your blinders on if you decide to become a coach. There's a difference between taking that 15 to 20 minutes of your day to do the professional personal development by watching a training or doing something like that. And there's a difference in scrolling social media and only watching coaches and what they're doing. It can become really easy to get wrapped up in that feeling of, even if you're doing the personal development, to get wrapped up in the feeling of not doing enough, not growing fast enough, yada, yada, yada. I mean, we could go on and on and on. But I think that I remember I used to go into my power hours and literally say, head down. And there was just something about it, head down, get to work. And I was only working an hour a day at the time. About like, Dana, you can't stop looking left and right. This is your journey, and the place you're supposed to go on this journey will happen if you just put your head down and take the actions that you know. Yeah, there's a lot more sweetness in the success if you've put your head down and done what you know that you have to give, rather than watching what everybody else is doing and feeling like you didn't do enough. So
I would even add on to that too, of like people, not finding your identity and what others think. Like a lot of people might have pushback, or, maybe not a lot, but a few people might have pushback in your life about what you're doing. And I think for myself, I had my brother who was a lawyer and Googled everything and was like, I don't think you should do this. But what I saw, what I experienced firsthand, I was like, this is changing my life. It's giving me confidence and healthy lifestyle for the first time. Like that's worth me sharing to any mom who needs it. So just, so if you find that you have pushback, like love the people where they're at. You don't need to explain every single detail, but if they can't see that, like, hey, you're happier, you're healthier, then that's just kind of something that you love them, but you just got to keep working and moving on and going past that. All right. And then the last thing is being teachable and willing to try new things. So we have team calls every single week where we're either a leader on the team is just giving their best practices, or maybe we have a guest speaker. So we're always coming together to collaborate. And then I'm not going to play that video right there, but also we're always learning new things, especially when it comes to social media. Sorry, drop the passing. When it comes to social media, especially, I feel like right now, the big thing is reels. Like none of us really know what we're doing when we're creating reels, and we're all failing. And this video was especially funny because we made it on the beach and none of us could hear the audio. So we were just dancing all crazy. But so what? And I think it's just, you have to get over yourself and that fear of what will people think and just go for it. And again, that's why that personal development is so important, because when you're stuck in other people's fears, you're not going to be willing to try new things. And I think trying new things has built so much freedom for myself and has made life so much fun. Not with just coaching, but just in every area, because I have just always been trying new things since I've started coaching. Okay. And then we're going to wrap it up with just how to get started. And it's basically the most beautiful thing of this part of how to get started is you just commit to your health journey first. You get signed up if you're not already a customer already. You get signed up as a coach with Beachbody On Demand, our workouts for the year. Trying out a supplement for a month. We'll plug you into our challenge groups and you start your journey. Your coach and you will set up a new coach call and she will send you a new coach guide, and you will just get started, and knowing that you have a team of women all around you to help you every step of the way. So anything else you wanted to share on that, Dana?
No, I think that that's great. And I think kind of like when I get my challenger started, it's kind of the same idea of like, okay, I can tell you all the things. But really, once you get started as a coach, we're not going to bombard you with the things, but that's where I really like the magic to happen with individuals of like, okay, what are your goals? What is this going to look like for you? And things like that. So yeah, but definitely getting you started with the program and you're getting your results.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, actually, I'm going to stop record.